Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of the show, Let It Out with Sibelle. Trust me, the long wait is over and we are here to stay. Our first guest for this season is no other person but Rev.pst Warah Solomon of ROCC International. You will know much about him in no time soon. Meantime, my name is Sibelle and I am your host. Welcome. We bring to you guests to share their experiences before and while in the life of Christ. Yes, guys, Pastor Warah Solomon is with me here on the show. Welcome, Daddy Warah, to the show. Let It Out with Sibelle. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Daddy Warah, you're not one person that a lot of people are very inquisitive about. They want to know a lot about you, and trust me, you have a lot that people should know about. So first start, we want to know who Pastor Warah Solomon is. Yeah?
Pastor Warah Solomon, or Reverend Warah Solomon, is a native of Njongmankon, a little village along the Bamenda-Mbengwi Road. After Alabukam, you get to Alanki, and then you take right, and you're right there. I was born in Njongmankon. That's why I was born and raised to becoming a pastor today.
Okay. So, Daddy, can you tell us, how did you know that you wanted to be a pastor? Did you ever know?
At a very tender age, from like the ages of 2, 3, 4, there were already lots and lots of signs, lots and lots of supernatural occurrences. I think I can actually cite 1 or 2. I was actually born dumb. Yeah, from my mother's womb, I was dumb. I couldn't speak. And so many persons were asking my mother, how will this child go to school? But it happened on a certain day that I just beckoned on people that gathered under a mango tree. I did a certain action, put spit on the ground, touched it, and then touched my tongue. Instantly, I was delivered. I started speaking fluently. And then by the age of 5, I was already having visions of a certain hill, having visions of being a shepherd, having visions of taking care of a community. And I always tell my mother at the age of 7 that I need this year because I'm seeing myself taking care of the old, taking care of so many people. So from a tender age, it was clear to me that I was called as a pastor.
All right. I mean, those are really mystical instances. So that we also want to know, like, growing up, given that you already found out you want to be a pastor, what were the things that you were doing that were in line with your calling as a pastor?
Well, in theology, in Christian theology, there are 2 kinds of theology. The first kind of theology is basically what they call oral theology. So from the worldview, the environment where I grew, telling these beautiful stories in the house, in the evening, growing up in the farm, going to school, and all of the environment, going out for fishing and hunting, just like David in the Bible, where that David was a shepherd boy and God located him while he was in the backyard taking care as a shepherd. So I grew up in all these things in this small peasant family. My call was a summary of everything that we did, the farming, the market, the hunting, the fishing. Those were all trainings that today they have prepared me for the most of the part of my ministry.
Okay, that's a rough background there, but how did you cope with the kind of background that you have? How did you cope?
That's very interesting because we had to go to school 5 miles every day and we had lots of works. We never had time to watch television. We had no television. There were no cell phones at that time. We had no fee where we go play football. So we're busy in the farm or busy in the market, or busy hunting, or busy fishing. Then the school was 5 miles away. We're going to school right in Bengwi. So with all of that, we're constantly on the move.
Okay, Daddy. So were you, a best or best student in your school back then?
Wow, I've never been at the bottom. From the first day I went to school, I've always been at the top. Always been the top student from primary to secondary to university. Yes, anywhere I went, I've always been at the top.
Daddy, can you give us some of the performances that you had?
In class 3 in the primary school, I can remember that I had 475 marks over 500. That was the total. And then in Form 2, in the secondary school in GBHS Mengwe, I had 16.3 average going to Form 3, and I was the second in class, and I was coming 5 miles away. My friends were all in the dormitory, but I was far ahead of them. And then in Form 5, I can remember there was a certain biology test that I was the only one who passed. And then in upper seed, I still remember that there was a certain exam. I remember that I was the only one who passed. And then the seminary, I had 3 years of striving to be at the top. And finally, I made it out of 32 as a second with distinction.
Wow, it's amazing, given that you had, such a heavy calling on you and your education, yet you still made it excellently. What would you say is your secret, Daddy?
Oh, I was a very passionate young man. Anything I'm doing, I'm passionate. I'm very determined, and I put in all of myself. I'm passionate, and then working very hard also. I used to see students who would just go around, play, and then come and then they write and they pass. But I put in everything when it comes to studies. I did my best. And then sometimes we'll even read with bush lamp, we'll read even in fire. We did our assignments in everything that we never took anything like a disadvantage. We braved it all.
All right. Thank you very much, Daddy. Now, growing up to realizing your calling as a pastor, I know challenges came. Yes, we can't live life without challenges, right? So, Daddy, how did you cope, or what would I say, or what would you rather say that, kept you going, that you didn't feel like giving up?
Wow, in every calling, there are times that you ever feel like giving up. In the Bible, we have lots and lots of people who prefer others better than them. When God called Moses, he said, I'm not fit, take somebody else. All through the seminary, I'd served as a Presbyterian pastor in Menchum, I served as a Presbyterian pastor in Tuba, I served as a Presbyterian pastor in Gomram. And there have been lots and lots of challenges. There are times that I regret why I was even born. But one thing has always kept me going, my passion, that devotion, that honesty, that sincere calling. I knew God called me, and everything else is secondary. God is primary. And so under the rain, under the sun, no matter what comes my way, I stood on that one word, passion. Passion for God's people and passion for God.
All right, Daddy, thank you very much. You made mention of you going to the seminary. Can you give us your experience while at the seminary?
Well, I made 3 years at the Presbyterian Theological Seminary in Kumba. The first thing is that at the end of the first year, I sat and then I saw how the moderator awarded the first 3 persons. I went back and made up my mind that I need to be there. And 3 years after I was there. Then apart from that, Kumba is a kind of a place where there was a lot of going out, lots and lots of activities in the city. But I made up my mind that I was on campus. I was working. I was the workman of the campus, cleaning the campus, planting orchards, planting pineapples, harvesting fruit, distributing fruits. I made myself very busy. If I'm not in the farm, if I'm not in the classroom studying, I'm in the library. And that's how my life was for 3 years.
Wow, Daddy, you have so much principles, I can tell, because for you to really go through that experience and you are where you are today. Would you mind sharing with us the principles that you have as Pastor Warah Solomon?
From very childhood, I knew that God had separated me. So wherever I went, I stood firm. I know I'm separate. When people are messing this way or going to the clubs or drinking alcohol, womanizing, whatever, I'm separated. And so I made it and as a discipline that, okay, I am separate. My life is a separate one. So God has called me. So I made sure that I had principles. I never drank alcohol. I never smoked a stick of cigarette. I never went to the nightclub. I made sure that I always tell my pastor that don't study. Don't study. When it comes to issues of immorality, I'll say that don't study. Those are principles. You don't have to study at all. Because when God called you, he has separated you. So I knew that I'm separated, I'm different, I'm set apart for something special. So I kept myself pure as I grew up.
All right, that's quite a principle to keep. All right, that's it. Before you leave, I don't want to take much of your time. I know the kind of person that you are. I would like you to give, a word of advice to young men out there, especially those who aspire to be pastors someday. What can you say to them?
The beginning is not always easy. I started in 13 villages when I came out of seminary. I was relatively young. In Lower Fungom and Furawa, I was relatively young. But I want to let you know that without those 3 years, I would not be where I am. Those 3 years taught me a lot. I had to suffer a lot without food, nothing, no electricity at 13 villages. But now, today I go to nations. I go to different parts of the world. So if you are striving to become something in future, don't expect to start big. What I would like you is that know that there are days of little beginning and don't minimize them. God will make you to suffer. You're going to have challenges, adversities, but stand firm wherever you are. Maybe in your career as a teacher, a pilot, anything you want to become, stand firm. You may begin small. Don't give up. Challenges will surely come. But guess what? Every challenge is for your good. The challenges are our teachers. Every moment of adversity in the ministry made me better. I grew in wisdom and knowledge. So the best is ahead of you. Don't look back wherever you are. Don't look back because God has prepared a greater path for you. So stand firm wherever you are.
All right, stand firm wherever you are, guys. Pastor Warah Solomon, there's a lot about him. There's so much that, if we want to continue, we won't let him go out of the show today. But trust me, he's coming back again. As we are closing this best episode, you should know that Pastor Warah Solomon is coming back again. So if you have questions that you would want to ask Pastor Warah Solomon in the next episode, you will receive answers to them. So go down now to the comment section and post those questions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see you on our next episode on the show. Thank you very much, Daddy, for coming.
I'll be glad to be back in the next episode. Thank you.
See you on our next episode. My name is Sibelle and I am your host.